Hey guys, what's going on? This is John with Gamester81.com, and I was recently at the Classic Gaming Expo in Las Vegas. It was August 11th through 12th, 2012. This is the second time I've been to this event. There was one, the last one was in 2010, which I attended. This year was a little bit bigger than the previous year, which is great to see. And did a huge expo hall with a lot of cool vendors. I'm going to show you, we'll do a walkthrough with it. You got to bear with me here first because certain parts of the expo hall were not very well lit. I apologize for that. But it does get better in the video, I assure you that. This particular vendor had a whole bunch of cool box NES consoles and Super Nintendo consoles, Sega Master System console. If you're into retro gaming, this is definitely a place to check out. It's unbelievable stuff. And the prices were right, the vendors were very friendly, and it was cool to talk to a lot of enthusiasts about retro gaming. They had a Fix-It Felix Jr. arcade. They had a number of arcades as well here, which is great. I did a walkthrough of that on my arcade channel, Gamester81 Arcade. But this Fix-It Felix Jr. is based on the new Disney movie coming out called Wreck-It Ralph, and it's one of two in the world. I ended up placing 8th place in a tournament, which is cool, out of thousands of people. Another tournament, this is the Retro Gaming Challenge. Also thousands of people played. I ended up placing 6th place. The first place got this cool gold trophy there in the middle. Second, third got the silver trophies. Top 10 got a cool finalist shirt. So I placed 6th place on that and getting the shirt. It was cool. It was very stressful though. I felt like I was in the Wizard movie playing the games. These are a lot of old new stock, meaning these are games that were old games that they purchased in box that were never opened, and they're selling it again. A lot of that here. I was really surprised how much they had there. This vendor had a bunch of controllers, a lot of box NES games, Saturn games. I mean, a ton of Saturn games. We'll see a lot of Saturn games in this video. Here is some more box games, Sega CD games, some N64 box games. Again, this is hard to find. Here, this particular vendor had a whole bunch of like vintage and retro import games, which is cool. And there's a Famicom keyboard that we just passed just a moment ago. And so if you're into that, and into import games, definitely represented well here. This is a lot of TurboGrafx 16 games right there, long box, Super Nintendo games, Sega Genesis games, a lot more Saturn games I mentioned before, Sega Master System. I think the Sega Master System is probably one of the most underrated retro consoles out there. I'm curious what your guys' thoughts about the most underrated retro game console. Leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Walter Day was here, which is cool. He's founder of Twin Galaxies. If you've seen the movies, the documentaries, Chasing Ghosts or King of Kong, he was there. I did an interview with Walter Day. I'll post a video here. You guys are definitely encouraged to check that out. Really, really nice guy. A lot more, these are some import games, from Saturn. Saturn import games from Japan are a lot different looking than North American releases. They had a Microvision, and they got a lot of vintage consoles, a lot of Atari 2600 box games, television games. You buy t-shirts here. This vendor had games you can play, demo. But it's cool. I don't know how many people attended this. I'd say over maybe 1,300 people probably attended over the weekend. It wasn't too packed, nothing too crazy. They did have panels, of course. They had some of the people who founded Activision were here, which is really interesting. And it was great. A lot of YouTubers are here as well. Dickie Dana, the Game Chasers, Pat the NES Punk was here, among others, which is cool. They all went to the Pinball Hall of Fame, hung out. This guy was awesome too because he had a whole bunch of Commodore 64 box games. These are old new stock. RoboCop. I mean, if you're big into Commodore 64, definitely check them out. That chick right there, she wasn't for sale or anything like that, so I'm giving you guys an idea, guys, okay? Just joking. Hyperkin, this is a cool vendor. They sell a whole bunch of phone consoles and controllers, okay, which is awesome. Love the Superboy. Do a review on that. Vectrix, if you're a fan of Vectrix, this guy had a whole bunch of reproduction overlays. Those are really hard to find, so really high quality overlay reproductions. They were actually giving away a contest, a Vectrix complete with a multi-cart, and they kind of promoting through these old Apple computers, which was kind of a clever idea of doing it. This vendor right here, Good Old Games, had a whole bunch of homebrew games. In fact, I picked up this game there. It's called the Smurfs. This is a game that was only available at Classic Gaming Expo this year. 35 copies were made. It's based on a French title. It came out in France, but it was never ported for the Sega CD or in North America or the rest of Europe or even Japan. And it was from a game for the Genesis, or Mega Drive rather. It's a platforming game. It's not very good. It's actually interesting. There's no attack in it or anything like that, but I'll do a review on this game, The Smurfs. Retro City Roundup, we just passed, is a podcast, a monthly podcast. This vendor right here, an awesome vendor. A lot of old new stock of Atari stuff. So Lynx, those are all boxed, brand new Lynx games, brand new Lynx systems, which is great. Speaking of systems, I picked up this system, complete, upside down, complete in box, new in box, Jaguar CD, which is rare. This is a working unit. That's two now I own of working Jaguar CD units. They tend to not work very well. So I was blown away at this vendor here. And they had AC adapters, they had carrying cases, even the bags that they give you when you check out were classic Atari bags. So this guy, I talked to the owner here, this vendor here, and he said he bought a whole bunch of stock from millions of dollars worth of Atari stock. And so on. Game Over Video Games is a game store out of Austin and San Antonio, and really cool. I did a walkthrough of a couple of their locations before in previous videos. I don't know if you guys remember that. Game Chasers also went there, and remember the All Right Kid? Well, he used to work there. Really nice guys, decent pricing, got a great selection of games. I like how they had it displayed. They actually drove all the way up from Austin to Las Vegas in a small Scion. I think they fit all the stuff in a small Scion, so it's pretty amazing. It's a hatchback, I would assume. There's Super Nintendo, Model 2 Super Nintendos, N64s, classic PS1, Dreamcast. I love the Dreamcast. This is Super Video Game Guys coming up, and these guys are really cool from California, Southern California, and they have like a show they put on every weekend where the vendor show, and they buy and trade and sell. And a lot of TurboGrafx 16 games here, Sega CD. There's a winner for the Sega CD. Really down to earth guys. The TurboGrafx 16 joystick is cool. Sega CDX and Nomad. I love this CDX. I think it's a great system. Plays CDs, Sega CD and Genesis games in one. Very compact. Definitely check it out if you're a fan of Sega and Genesis. Check it out. PlayStation 1 games, some classics, N64, limited edition ones there. It's great titles like Zelda, GoldenEye, Mario Kart, RPG. There's some strategy guides there as well. Box N64 games like that. Box Zelda, Ocarina of Time. Speaking of box, check this out. This case, sealed Super Mario Brothers, sealed Super Mario Brothers 3, sealed Bubble Bobble 2, sealed Metroid, sealed Zelda. Wow, that's great. And then they keep a lot of their cards in these plastic sleeves, which is really nice. So they keep the ROMs clean, the boards clean, which is great. And they're auctioning off. They're actually auctioning. You could buy tickets, and they're auctioning off a complete Nintendo packet. It's hard to see, but it's all Metroid games 1 through 6 for sale. It's a set. This is Atari 2600. This is their table. This is Joe, the owner. He was selling a complete guide of Nintendo Power up through 1 through I think 100. That's pretty cool. And he had a great table. Some more items. Box Atari 2600 games. Box ColecoVision games. Some box NES games coming up there. He had a lot of systems in the back. Kept also in plastic, kept nice. They have homebrews here as well. There's this box Atari 7800 console in the back there. 5200 right below it. Merchandise, ET, Pac-Man, whatnot. Pretty awesome. And decent price. It's Atari2600.com. Definitely check them out. Name's Joe. There's Custer's Revenge. That's pretty fun. That's Chris NES Punk, or I'm sorry, Chris NES Complex. And he is got a fairly new channel on YouTube. Really nice guy. He was there as well. Man, awesome dude. Television lives. They had a whole bunch of television stuff. So if you're into that kind of thing, they're well represented, of course. Merchandise. Atari2600.com ad. This booth, I believe, was an auction booth. I did an auction there one night. I think it was Saturday night. I was able to attend. But it was, my understanding went really well. They were auctioning off items, and these are some of the items that they were auctioning off. This booth right here, I believe, was Portland Retro Gaming guys. The guys from Portland put on the show, and they had this table here selling some games. And Chuck organized it. That Maximum Carnage Maximum Carnage. Great LGN game. I know it sounds oxymoron to say that, but it's actually one of LGN's better games. So check it out for the Super Nintendo and Genesis. Great fighter. Great Spider-Man game. What's your favorite fighter? Who's curious? This is Vectrex stuff, which is cool, and they actually modded steering wheel to work, which is cool. They also modded a joystick, like an arcade. That's awesome. You could purchase that. Kind of bulky, but I think that was Chuck from Portland Retro Gaming Expo who put all that together. Did these cool folders with a whole bunch of vintage games, Game Boy Advance games there, consoles. That's a Nomad right there, DS's, stuff like that. They were filming a documentary here, actually. This guy was going around to all the gaming expos and planning to do a documentary. It's a new one right there, very rare DVD style gaming system with a game. Unusual to see that, the new one. They had some more modern games as well, Xbox games, they had DS games as well, so it wasn't just retro, although I wouldn't necessarily call Xbox retro gaming, but I don't know, I think the cutoff for me would probably be maybe the Dreamcast. Even the Dreamcast is a retro in my book. What do you guys think? I don't know. But these guys have a ton of games. You can see the arcades in the background they had. More Nintendo games, Box, Jaguar. They had one vendor there that was selling, he was buying all the rare stuff and reselling it, upmarketing it. It was really not really cool at all. This is Mel, the office gamer girl, and she's from Phoenix, close to where I live, good friend of mine. She was here selling her artwork. Awesome, definitely a very talented Mel. But yeah, back to this vendor guy. I mean, he was just selling all these retro games, really rare ones. He had 50 plus games of Little Samson, 51 versions of it, and his goal was to buy all of them up and mark up the price of this one, Little Samson, for the NES. And it really upsets me. I think that's not right to do that. And this particular vendor right here had a book he wrote, but on certain years, he did a blurb and a review over every game for this. That was printed. That's the guy right there in the gray shirt. He's a victim. He was the guy who was buying all. He's a culprit. He was buying all the games. We're the victims. He's a culprit. Here's Cheetah Man 2. This is the Kickstarter. I know many of you guys are aware of this and probably some of the drama behind it. Won't get into that at all, but I will say Greg, the owner, was really nice, and good to see him there. That's a Atari 2600. That was a box. It's a kind of a newer console. It has a whole bunch of built-in games, I guess, in one. I'm not sure how old that is. I think it's a newer clone. It's some cool merchandise as well this vendor did, which is right when you walk in. Some more games. Look at all the Sega Master System games there they had. And they all categorized by games, you know. They even had a lot of CDI games, which was really surprising that you don't see that every day. All NES games. I spent 2 days here at the expo looking at all games. I still didn't have time to see them all, let's put it that way. Sega CD, Genesis, Saturn games, of course. These are the Portland guys. Strategy guys, magazines, accessories, whatnot. Pretty awesome. And they have a gaming area in the back. You can play retro games. But I really appreciate you guys watching. This was a great expo. Looking for next year. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate you guys subscribing. And I will see you guys soon. Take care. Bye.